Let's keep the conversation going by focusing on industry perspectives. Please join me in welcoming LaViolette, leading a panel of valued SHI customers, Brian Luteran, Kristin Milano, and Frank Reda.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Now, that's a tough act to follow right there. But I'm glad to have these panelists with me today. These are all esteemed clients of SHI over many, many years. My name again is LaViolette, and I'm a Senior Solutions Cybersecurity Architect with the Globals Group. And today we're going to talk about working on solving the cybersecurity skills gap that has only continued to grow. So with that said, we've got a poll that we're going to do. We're going to take about half a minute or so. So I'm going to kick that poll off to kind of set the tone for the conversation. And you guys know what to do in terms of scanning that in and participating right now, if you could. So it's about your organization's most pressing cybersecurity talent challenge today. I'm seeing some results come through now. See? Okay. Okay, well, overwhelming number one seems to be the top. I'm going to jump into it. So it's justifying the budget for adequate security staffing and development seems to be kind of the overwhelming solution. And then we're seeing the upskilling of existing technical staff as number two. So no wrong answer, makes a lot of sense. We're going to dive into it. Just give me a second to get my glasses on. Appreciate that. Okay, so I want to introduce the panelists. We have Brian Luteran from Bausch and Lomb, and we got Kristin Milano from Ochsner Health, and of course, Frank Reda from Rutgers University. Rutgers, I think I'll get it right the third time. And I would like each one of the panelists to take a minute to explain their roles within their organizations. So start with you, Brian.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So Brian Luteran, I have responsibility for the cybersecurity program at Bausch and Lomb globally. That includes everything from our manufacturing and product security to kind of all the other traditional cybersecurity facets that you would normally think of. I have about a team of 20 people globally, spread in centers of excellence in Rochester, New York, Warsaw, Poland, and Pune, India.
Hi, I'm Kristin Milano. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Cybersecurity Identity Access Management at Ochsner Health, the second largest employer in the state of Louisiana, the largest private employer in the state of Louisiana. We manage healthcare for the Gulf South region. I manage our IS provisioning team, so all of the provisioning across all of our hospitals and clinics. I also manage AI governance and data governance sharing for the organization, and we have about 18 folks that are managing provisioning for all of those locations, as well as 2 individuals who help with our data governance sharing and with AI governance.
Thanks, Kristin. Frank Reda. I'm Vice President, Deputy CIO at Rutgers University. I am responsible for our Information Security Office at Rutgers. We have about 12 full-time staff on the Information Security team. However, that staff is also augmented by technical staff in other areas of our central IT division who provide support for information security at the university.
Very good, appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off here. So with the World Economic Forum citing a 4 million professional shortage globally and CyberSeek projecting about 500,000 US openings by 2025, we understand the scale. And I'm curious, based on your direct experience within your organization, which traditional approaches to addressing the skills gap have proven ineffective or counterproductive? Where might we be misallocating resources in our talent strategies? And let's start with you, Brian.
Yeah, I think one of the areas where we get hung up sometimes is by maintaining and trying to retain 100% of the control of the cybersecurity program within our own departments. And there's a lot of interest and opportunity to enable and empower people in different groups to take on small pieces of cybersecurity that will help you be successful overall. So, for example, when you're running like a vulnerability management program, you could run reports, send them to, say, a database administrator, have them deploy patches, updates, whatever needs to happen, scan them again, send them back, and have a lot of back and forth with them. But one of the things I've found that have been more effective is just enabling that person to be successful on their own by giving them access to the console, to see exactly what they need to do, and then give them guide rails or SLAs of what you're going to be looking for from them to make sure that they're being successful. Then instead of getting into all this back and forth all the time, you're able to focus more on outcomes and results, and you can make sure that everyone's successful together. And so by releasing a little bit of that control, you can really have a force multiplier with your team. And I know a lot of people want to hold on to that, but it's okay. Let it go. It'll be useful for everybody.
Good stuff, Kristin.
Aligned with what Brian said and also with what Jordan said earlier, it's really the education and the collaboration and the alignment with other teams and understanding that it's a shared responsibility. Cybersecurity is everyone's job. I'm sure everyone here has heard that a lot. And working together, you know, I work in healthcare, and so our patient is our responsibility, and we put our patients first, and really making sure that everyone understands what their responsibility is each and every day to the patient and to the organization and what's in it for them, and how every single piece of the work that they do is impacting the work that we do as a cyber team. And so making sure that we're educating each and every person at the front of the line, to our folks even in IS, which we've not always successfully done in the 14 years that I've been at Ochsner. And it's really paying off to have everyone understand that, hey, I may not be able to do this work, but I'm going to share with you that this is coming in the cyber team, and here's where you can help me, and here's what I can learn to take that work off of you, and sharing that responsibility.
Excellent. Frank.
So representing a university, won't be surprising to hear me say that education is critical to meeting the skills challenge. The number 2 on the list in the poll had to do with budget. I think we've come to the realization that we'll never have enough budget to have enough staff to do all of the things that need to be done in the cybersecurity space. And so that sort of forces us to rethink our approach. Having enough staff having enough technical staff there to deal with cyber threats, and having the ability to educate that staff and keep them working, for us, is probably something we're never going to achieve. So we've kind of turned our attention to partnering with organizations that can help us. And that's been a common theme for us. The relationships that we have with some of our strategic vendor partners is really where we're putting a lot of our concentration right now, and seeing how those vendor partners can help us as far as moving forward with our cybersecurity strategy at Rutgers.
Great perspectives. Very valuable. Thank you. So we know the consequences of these gaps are significant, and Dark Reading recently reported 80% of firms suffering identity-related breaches, often due to the explosion of NHI, or non-human identities, and human identities outpacing available skilled personnel. So given these realities, what innovative approaches have you implemented that show real promise? And I'm particularly interested in how you might be leveraging AI and restructuring your MSSP relationships, or tapping into non-traditional talent pools to close critical capability gaps. This time, let's start with Kristin.
Yeah, I love that Frank led with talking about vendor partners, because at Ochsner it is incredibly important for us, for our vendors to be true partners, strategic partners in all of the work that we do. If you are not a good fit for us, we're going to work you out, but we really want our contracts to have true deliverables at each point in the process to make sure that you are providing what we need, particularly if you're replacing staff or augmenting staff. We are a nonprofit. the dollar that we're spending on you is a dollar that we can spend elsewhere, particularly on our patients or on the staff that we have to upskill them. So that's really important. Where we're using AI, we have AI embedded in some of our identity tools to really help us with reporting, or help us as we're working through our RBAC strategy. So lots of opportunities there. Where we want to use AI is to do the easier work so our teams can think. We have really amazing teams at Ochsner, and we want them to be able to do, we talk about like the 80-20 work. We want them to do the work that they're so smart and not be pushing the buttons all day. We want them to use their time to think and not use their time to do the things that they can do in their sleep. And so that's where we're using it a lot on the provisioning side. We've really saved a lot of time, but we've either moved the people into other work that is more meaningful for them, and it's really made their jobs a lot better. So we have that engagement win for them. We've been able to move them into different roles, and that's really made our work safer, honestly, in the work that we do for our patients and on the business side. So it's really exciting stuff that we get to work on, and they're really excited about the work that they're doing in AI to build it out with our partners, like with Epic or SailPoint or anyone else. So it's really pretty thrilling.
That's fantastic,
Yeah.
and it sounds like you've done a great job in kind of retaining those performers, if you will, to stick with you and do their best work.
Yes.
Frank, your thoughts on that?
So +1 on Kristin's point on using AI to further your cybersecurity posture. I think that's something that we are still coming to grips with, and something that we want to do. I think that the other thing that's important to us is that looking to non-traditional ways of finding talent. We happen to be a university. We happen to have very bright students at our disposal, and what we look to do is we look to train them. I led for the first 25 years of my career, I led a student-run help desk at Rutgers University. The idea of putting that same student talent to work in both the AI field, but more importantly in the cybersecurity field, is something that we're thinking about. The students walk away with not only a degree from a prestigious university, but they walk away with some experience in the cybersecurity field, in the AI field, that will help them land better jobs when they do get out of college. So these are the kind of things that we're looking into right now, that we're exploring, that we think can help us bridge some of the gap in terms of finding the right people to fill the needs that we have.
Very good.
Yeah. And so being a New Jersey-based company, I'm really glad to hear that, because we're looking for more opportunities to continue to use artificial intelligence within our practice, because we're kind of working off of a concept that the commodity work the MSPs are doing for us today can be automated through traditional automation, just basic PowerShell scripts or something, or with agentic AI, right? And that we need to continue to push them to elevate the services that they're providing to us, so that we can get rid of the commodity work entirely and just have that be taken care of by some computer system. It gets more consistent results then, and then you also know that if somebody comes in off of a new shift or something, you're not having problems with communications with the end users or anything like that. Generative AI is also really good at answering questions based on some type of knowledge base. So for us, for example, we have an AI bot that you can chat with that will allow you to ask questions about our policies. You can imagine we have a large set of very complicated policies that address a lot of different compliance needs globally. And it's easy for somebody to just ask a simple question and get a response with a link back to the actual policy document and a page to refer to, so that they can identify exactly what it is they need to do. And by taking some of this more menial kind of commodity work off the table, it frees your team up to really focus on the more complicated tasks, which is what you're trying to pay them for and what you really want them to do. And then addition to that too, we also are partnering with universities to help us further some of our product security functions even. So for example, we've been working with Rochester Institute of Technology to work on establishing a product security function that will be, I'll call it a first pass at making sure that our products that we develop are developed and deployed in a secure manner. And then we'll be able to have that verified and validated by an accredited testing company. But that's going to help save a lot of time and money on our side and give students some really interesting opportunities to develop and advance their skills as it relates to these areas. So I think it sounds like we're all pretty aligned in our approaches.
That's really interesting. And it sounds like you're able to potentially not only help those students further their knowledge and career in cybersecurity, but potentially benefit by coming in as an intern. I'm just throwing that out as a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. We actually started a year-round internship program by bringing people in and having that extra help, and it's been extremely successful for us.
Yeah, we have interns as well. We have 2 programs. We have a summer internship program, and I just wanted to share this little tidbit. Our intern started 2 weeks ago, and when she did her onboarding, she told us that it was her dream come true to be on our team. So I thought that was sweet. I don't know that it would be my dream come true, but we're all a little different. But and then we have our year-long group that comes through all of IS, and they do, with our service desk, with our IS provisioning team. We've actually hired one before she even finished the program. And they have already brought so many innovations and automations to our team. So when you have that new, fresh set of eyes that come in, it's amazing what they can bring to your teams.
Oh, that's good perspective there. So finally, as we look towards building sustainable security teams, it's clear that this isn't a temporary challenge. With the rapid evolution of both threats and defensive technologies, like Gartner's emphasis on continuous threat exposure management, we heard that from Dave, what fundamental shifts in organizational design or security culture are needed, and how are you building teams that can continuously adapt to the emerging threat landscape while maintaining operational excellence? Frank, how are you addressing this challenge?
Yeah, that's the $64 million question right there. The way we view it is we view it as a multi-layered approach. You want to have your own internal resources, you want to have them trained, you want to have them ready to go, but you have to recognize the fact that they're not going to catch everything. And so you have to have these relationships with the strategic partners, as I talked about earlier. I think without having those relationships, then relying on a single line of defense is never a good idea. So having your own internal resources that you can rely on, having strategic partners that you can rely on, and then working with others in the industry, I think is important. We were just talking a little bit about, having students be a part of what we do. We actually partner with the University of Indiana and something they call OmniSOC. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but they provide Security Operations Center services to the higher ed community. And so one of the things that we've done is we've worked with OmniSOC over the years, and we've actually sent some of our students for training at their Security Operations Center. So I think that, as we look at this and as we look at the multi-layered approach, we have our own resources, we have the students that we train, we have the vendor partners that we work with, and the tools are always improving. And that's the other thing that I think helps us get to the point where we can feel at least a little bit more secure and at least be able to catch a couple hours of sleep each night.
Nice feedback on that. I'm hearing a resonance on continuously developing partner relationships that can help in this process. So let's move to Kristin on that one.
Yeah, I think that's great, Frank. And what we really look at in our organization, because again, we're a nonprofit, and getting some of these folks that are AI prompt engineers or things like that, we simply cannot afford to hire some of them. And so what we've looked at is the opportunity to upskill some of our existing team members, and we've worked very closely with the state of Louisiana and with our own. We have a PDW group, which is Professional Development Workforce, and we have offered to many of our team members the ability to, like Frank, get additional certifications on work time and outside of work so that they can benefit our team. And it has been a huge engager for our team members, and they have been able, and also in cybersecurity, a lot of cybersecurity. And myself personally, I got my CISP through the organization, lots of different opportunities so that we can learn more and share with the organization and be able to educate. So it's like we learn more, we share it, and it's really like a virus, pardon the pun, but like way to get everything out there for everyone. But also, giving our leaders the autonomy and trust to really look at their teams and see how they need to be reorganized for efficiencies on the team so that we can best support our end users and best support the organization. That has been extremely, I definitely want to shout out Annie McAllister, who's my provisioning leader. She consistently looks at like our ownership documents as well as our leadership organization under me, and I report up to the CISO to say, like, what is the best way for us to really manage our teams and manage the organization so that we're best, we're information services at Ochsner. So it's really about serving those that are under us and making sure we're doing everything the right way and looking at our processes and are they really the right, because the technology is changing, but so is the workforce and the work that we do, and making sure that everyone is skilled up, and if there's a better team for them, like put them on that team. Like it's about the person that we work for and work with. So that's where I'm thinking about it from.
Great. Brian?
Yeah, we're thinking about it similarly too. Actually, we're looking at the team overall, and people have roles, right, within the team, but just because you're locked into maybe like an IAM role doesn't mean you can't work on a manufacturing security project, right, for in our instance. And by giving people the opportunity to kind of spread their wings a little bit and reach out and try different things, they can find things they don't want to do, which is equally as valuable as finding things that they do want to do. And then when you have someone who's really dedicated to the company and maybe they've been with you for many years, and now they're getting opportunities to learn new things and be successful in different projects, that really helps energize them. And it increases productivity all around, right, in the work that they're already supposed to be doing and the new project they're working on. And you might be able to find a new role or position for that person that helps them to continue to grow and expand within the company instead of jumping ship and trying to do that somewhere else. And so by combining all these things, enabling the different people at different functions within the organization, putting out artificial intelligence bots and using artificial intelligence and automation in ways to help streamline and get rid of commodity work, and then allowing people to work on different things within the department even, we're really finding that people are very engaged within the group, and then want to continue to learn more and keep growing within the organization. And I think that's kind of the most critical key things as we move forward.
All very good stuff. One thing does come to mind too in your challenges is that sometimes I've seen in security teams with various different sizes of clients, they'll have a mastermind security director that is an operator that tends to be the leader that has a lot of confidential information, and the organization becomes very dependent on that particular individual. And if they do decide to get recruited away or they decide to leave for whatever reason, it can leave the organization exposed. So it sounds like you guys have some ideas around distributing that knowledge while still protecting the keys to the kingdom. Can be a balance there. Any ideas or comments on that?
Yeah. If you don't mind. Yeah, my team, we do a huddle 3 times a week, and in the huddles, they do showcases where they share, particularly the senior analyst on the team, but really it could be anyone on the team, shares their knowledge with the team. They prepare documentation. So I am a firm believer that, you all may disagree after this, but that public speaking is a core competency of leadership. And so I really like for them to be able to share that with their team and what they've learned, get feedback from the team and how they can improve their workflows. And so it allows everyone to, one, see the work that someone is doing, what makes a senior, because they want to either become a senior, become an Epic analyst, or become an IS analyst, but also to learn a new workflow. And so as they're and then we also move people into different ownership areas, because we should be able to have cross-training on our team, we don't want one person to have that, and documentation is critically important on our team. Our joke is always like, if you win the lottery tomorrow, we want to make sure that you have coverage, or someone should be able to go on vacation and not get a call, and all of those different things. So that is critically important to us. Like, everyone needs a break, and if you get a break by having things documented and sharing your knowledge with the team, knowledge hoarding is a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. One of the things we struggle with is, as a global entity, we have to be supporting the globe. So having one person that can do something is a non-starter for us, really. And so I guess that kind of forces into people being cross-trained and being able to do things. But just like you said, if you win the lottery, or if you just want to take a vacation, like even myself, I don't want to be the single point of failure for the program. I want everybody to know everything we're doing, so that if I need help, we can get help. If you just want to take a break, you can take a break, because burnout is real and you got to control it. And the best way to do that is just to kind of delegate out work. And I think it's really, really important that everybody's doing that.
Build some team trust building as well, right? Some of that trust within your team when you can have that kind of distributed knowledge and make it work. So we actually have a little bit of time left over. I was hoping we could open it up to the audience for Q&A for a few minutes. We have time for a few questions. If anybody in the audience would like to pose a question to any of the panelists, this would be a great time. I see a gentleman in the back raising your hand. Well, no, that would be you. You're raising your hand, right? I'm pointing. Yeah, please.
X amount. I was in the military too, so I can yell if I have to. So work for a manufacturer, and we have a very small infrastructure department. Basically, there's 5 of us, right? And we handle 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations, about close to 1,800 employees across those things. So we are stretched thin. In fact, I'm sitting here with my laptop open and trying to pay attention, right? So how do you guys struggle that in your company, is to say, well, let's just go hire a cybersecurity person, or send them to a conference, or and get this learning when we're already stretched thin in what we have. Not saying we don't want to grow, but there gets to a point where there's only so much can come in and so much can go out. So that was kind of my question. How do you guys handle that within your companies?
Any one of you guys want to grab it?
Yeah, so the one thing that I push with my team a lot is that we need to standardize control, or centralize control, standardize processes and operations, look for opportunities to streamline, and then automate. And by doing those things, you're able to then free up cycles and buy time to do other things. I totally understand what you're saying, and what I'm saying sounds really easy, and it's very complicated to do that and actually get time out of it. But I would really focus on opportunities for automation and standardization, so that you're not dealing with like, well, this one's like this, but this one over here is a little bit different. Because if you're also standardized, you're able to delegate that work out easier to people, because you'd be like, just do this 100 times, right? And it makes it easier.
That's great.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there's anyone else. I see someone's hand up there. Great. Gotcha.
Hey folks, so one of the challenges I've seen with a lot of the organizations we work with comes with tribal knowledge. We've got a lot of, I'll pick on-premise because I'm a cloud guy, but it goes way beyond that. We have a lot of on-prem admins, and they're excellent at their job. They know how to do the job really well, but we've received direction that we're moving to the cloud. So what do I do with all these people who have tribal knowledge that's important, have a lot of skills that are important, but they're not directly translatable to this new infrastructure we're moving to? How do we upskill them and retain them? Curious if you guys have had that challenge and how you would address it.
I think that's a general IT challenge. It's not specific to cybersecurity. The organizations that I've worked with in the past who've been successful at that, it centers around changing the culture, right? And I believe I heard you say tribal. So it's not about protecting your skill set. It's not about protecting what you own. You have to change the culture to the point where it's about the team. It's about the greater good, making them understand that, and making them understand that you'll support them as they transition into a new skill set. So if they're subject matter experts in one field, and the idea of having another field become the most important thing is very frightening to them. You need to make them feel comfortable with, we'll guide you through that transition. It's not easy. It's very difficult, and especially difficult with small organizations where you don't have the luxury of having other subject matter experts to step in and cover for them as they go through the learning process. But we found that as a way to do it.
Yeah, I want to add to that, and I very much appreciate and respect that perspective, because mine is very similar. So we have had several mergers and acquisitions where we have taken on folks who have managed legacy EMRs, and now they're with our EMR, which is Epic. And so these individuals have turned into the best Epic analysts that we have had, and it is very much for the reason that you said. It's for the culture, and we made sure that they belonged on our team. And you have to support them through the change and understand that it's a lot about change management, and we understand that this is hard because it is like managing a death. And like you're going from being the best at what you did, and some of these meant like job role changes. Like you're going from an architect back to a beginner, and that is very, very hard to manage. And you're not losing your job. Like we as leaders need to manage that situation, and we're going to manage you now up. Like you're going from up to down to up, and that's hard. Like you have to go through retraining and all of those different things. But like as a leader, you have to hear people, you have to understand, and you have to walk it with them, and not just be like, you should be here today. No, you shouldn't be here. Like it's going to take time, because it took time for me to learn Epic, because I was an analyst when I started. I started at the bottom and I moved myself up. But I was a lawyer back in the day, and like I didn't learn how to do Epic. I think the first time I built a category list, which is like the easiest thing to do in Epic, it took me and my team that did it an hour. I could build a category list right now in like 4 seconds. Like, you're slow in the beginning. And so, but you have to kind of understand the emotions of it. And that's really, really hard. And I think a lot of times as leaders, we don't want to touch the emotions of it, but it's there. And so maybe an unpopular opinion, but that is the truth of the matter. We are people. At our core, we are people, and that's a very, very hard thing to do, is to not be good at think that you're not going to be good at your job, you're going to lose your job, all of those different things, but you got to work through it.
Great question, great sharing. Guys, we're out of time, so thank you to our panelists for sharing your candid insights, drawing from your frontline experiences. A couple more comments as we wrap it. The conversation has highlighted that building resilient security teams requires more than conventional hiring strategies. It demands reimagining how we develop talent, leverage technology, and structure our security operations. SHI and Stratascale experts can help you identify your critical capability gaps and help you evaluate AI and automation that can augment your existing teams. So we're here to help. Reach out to your account executive, and they can get you in touch with the proper expert. If you don't know who that is, you can always fill your information out from the QR code. So again, thank you, folks, and give these folks a round of applause here, the panelists.